I know what you're thinking. Teach us Davinci Resolve with a dead meme? Yes. But hear me out. There's a good reason for it. Turns out memes are actually an awesome way to showcase different features in Davinci Resolve, and in a way that's easy to understand. So we're going to do a meme in two ways, one just using the edit page, one using Fusion. So whether you've used Davinci Resolve for a long time or you're just getting started, chances are there's something in this video that'll help you out. What's up guys, my name's Kyle. I make videos for content creators and gamers. Today, we're going to make a meme.
All right, first up, we're going to start a new project. So go to File, New Project, and we'll just name this You Got That. Click Create. Now down on the right-hand corner, there's a cogwheel. Click that. We're going to set our frame rate. My footage is shot at 60 frames per second, so I'm going to choose that. You can also choose your resolution if you want. And then once you've done that, go ahead and just click on Save. I'll leave a link to the You Got That song. You can record it with a 4K downloader or use OBS. I just use OBS. And once you have a clip, you can just go ahead and drag it over on into your media pool, drop it. And then once you have that, you can grab that and drag it onto your timeline. And it creates a timeline for you. Now we don't need the video portion of this, so I'm going to hold Alt and left click. To just select the video, I'm going to hit backspace and delete it. I also have multiple tracks which I don't need, so I'm going to go ahead and hit Alt, left click on them, and delete the ones that I don't need. The size is a little bit big, so I can click on this little tab here and I can go ahead and resize these, make it a little bit easier, and then I'll just delete them. All right, and we'll give it a listen. Sounds good. There's some dead audio at the beginning of this clip, so I'm going to hold Control / to cut it. I'm going to click on it and I'm going to hit delete to ripple delete. And now I'm going to bring in a PNG file for my video. And same thing as before, I'm just going to drag it in and drop it into the media pool. And then I'm going to drag it onto my timeline. I want to figure out what kind of beat and rhythm this has so I know where to place my cuts. So I'm going to click on this little icon here and increase my audio track size so I can see the waveform. Those high points are where the audio is loudest, and that's where I'm going to want to place my cuts. I'm going to position my playhead over where that's at, and then once I have that in the right spot, I'm going to just hit M to place a marker. I'm going to place another marker over on the other side, and then I'm going to click the track itself, and I'm going to place a marker in those same locations. And this is just because I'm probably going to move my track, and I want to have those spaced in the right spot. So let's see the spacing between them. Looks like at 1 second and 2 seconds, so it's about a 1 second interval. I'm going to want a 2 second clip so that I can have a zoom in and then a kind of a jump zoom effect at the 1 second mark. So to change my clip length, I can just cut it like I did before, or I can click on it, right click, go to change clip duration, and I can change it from the standard 5 seconds down to 2 seconds. It's a little different than where I place my markers, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust this clip. I can drag the end of this back a little bit. I can move this forward, and then that marker will just clip to the end of the video. I'll move my playhead out of the way so you can see it a little bit better. And then I can go ahead and fill back in the beginning of that audio track. I don't need these markers anymore up top, so I'm going ahead and click on them and delete them. Now I could just put my playhead where I want the cut made and select my clip and go ahead and cut it with Control /, but I'm not going to do that because I know there's a bunch of things that I want to add to both clips before I do that. So I will do that after I add the effects in. So one of the first things we can do is click on it and go over up to the inspector and increase the size under zoom, and then we're going to change the position as well. Lower it down, make sure our character is in frame. And next we're going to add some effects to it. So we're going to go to our effects library. If you don't have it open, it's just at the top. just click on Effects Library, it'll open, and go down to Open Effects. We're going to look for one called Color Compressor. And we're going to use that to take the color out of the image and give us this nice grayscale look. Just drag and drop it right on your footage. And there will be a new option in the inspector, the Effects tab. There's your color compressor, and we'll just compress the saturation, move it up to 1. And then we're going to add one more effect. We're going to add a scan lines to it. So just scroll down towards the bottom, you'll find one called Scan Lines. Drag and drop that onto your footage. Give this a nice bad TV look to it. If you want to preview any of them, just hover over them. Some of them are locked under Studio, but the ones we're using are going to be free. So back on our Effects tab, we can just go down to Scan Lines, double click on it, and it'll open. And we're going to crank up the line frequency, move up the line sharpness. We're going to move the line width down just a little bit, and then we're going to move the line shift up. And this just gives us this nice kind of TV CRT look. There are other options in here, but I really like this look. It kind of matches the original footage, so we're going to stick with that for now. And now that we've done that, we can go ahead and split our image into 2 parts. Just hit Control \\, and now we're going to go ahead and keyframe it. So move your playhead all the way to the beginning, and then up in your inspector, you got these little icons. Make sure you're on video. These are your keyframes, and you'll just click on them to toggle them on. And this just tells Davinci Resolve that we want these parameters in at this point. So I'm going to put in some nice, easy to remember numbers so that I can use them later on. Then I'm going to move my playhead to the center. I'm going to hit back on the arrow pad to go back 1 frame. And then I'm going to go up, and I can either click these keyframes to turn them on or put in a new number. If you click these back arrows, it'll take you to the previous keyframe. So they'll just move our playhead back to where it was, back 1 with the arrow, and we'll just turn these on. Or we put in a new number, and it'll automatically do it for us. And I just want to try and center my character so it looks good for the zoom. And once we have that set, again, I want to use some numbers that I can remember if I just need to change something. We're going to do the same thing for the second clip. We're just going to click on it. We're going to move to the first frame, keyframe it, and we're going to change some values here. Let's say 3, and we'll move that down. We'll move to the final frame, back 1, change it to 4. Now we want to add some transitions to it. So let's back up to our first frame, and we're going to want to go over and click on Video Transitions. I like this blur dissolve. It gives it a nice effect close to the original. Just drag and drop it on your footage. Then you click on either clip, go up and click on Transitions. You can get some parameters for this. We can put it on either side of the clip, or we can put it in the middle. And we can change the frames. I'm going to make it 12 frames, make it nice and short. I also want to change the horizontal strength to vertical strength, so I'm going to bring that down. I'm going to bring vertical strength up. And let's go ahead and see how that looks in the full clip. Okay, so we're almost there. A couple things we need to add. We need to make sure we get in the copies and blur them out. There's one to the right and one to the left, and they're kind of forward and back of the clips. So what we can do is click on our main clip, the first one, and then hold Alt and drag up to add a duplicate clip. And then you can do the same thing with the bottom. Drag it down. Now these are overlapping, so what we're going to do is move them off to either side. So we're going to change this X position. Make sure you're on the first frame, and we're going to make this one a little bit bigger. Again, I'm going to choose some numbers I can remember easier. Go to the last frame, and we're going to fix the X position because it keyframed it automatically. So change that to 650, and we want to make this one a little bit larger as well by the same value as we did the original clip. And then we're going to do the same thing to the bottom clip. We're going to make this -600, say, and then we're going to make it a little bit smaller. Let's do 1, and then we'll go to the end. And again, we'll need to fix that keyframe issue, so we'll need to make the X position -600, and then we'll make the zoom 1.5. All right, and the last thing we're going to do is add a blur to these 2 clips on the sides. So go to Open Effects, and we're going to grab a Gaussian blur, just drag and drop it onto both of those clips. And they can be a little strong sometimes, so I usually turn them down to about 0.3. I like that look a little bit better. Change them both. I kind of have some weird artifacting going on. I'm not sure what's going on there, but we'll change it. Maybe we'll change it back to 0.4, see how that is. And that doesn't seem to affect it while it's playing, so you can choose whether you want 0.4 or 0.3. Looks like it's just a weird glitch with Davinci. That happens sometimes. And all that's left to do is just bring in more clips and do the effects that you want. And here's the final results. And by the way, if you want to bring in these chain elements, all you gotta do is move your clips up and then just drag these clips in, just like layers. Okay, so one final tip on this before we move on. Say you forgot to put some of the settings on before you split the clip, or you just want to change something overall. Instead of grabbing everything and putting on each individual clip, what you can do is you can go down to Effects, Adjustment Clip. Let's add a track in so you can go above. Add in this adjustment clip, and now you can change anything that's below the adjustment clip. It'll affect everything. So Effects or Sizing. If I change anything on this, it affects everything underneath it. So that's an easy way to make a fix over everything in case you mess up. It's a really handy feature when you're in a pinch. Before we move on, if you're enjoying yourself, hit that like button. And if you're really enjoying yourself, ring that bell. All right, let's go ahead and get into the Fusion stuff. First, I grabbed a clip, courtesy of Gaming Animals. I'm just going to go ahead and drop that onto my timeline. And I just want a short clip with a little bit of animation, not too much. We're going to rotoscope it and loop that animation a little bit. So I can go ahead and extend it out and trim it to where I need, but I just want a short little clip. I'm going to put my cursor over top of it, and I'm going to go down to the Fusion page. Once you're inside there, we got our media in, our media out. You can kind of see the bounds of the clip. This is where our clip begins and our clip ends. You can see that it's only 30 frames. That's half of what we want, but we're going to fix that in the edit page later on, so don't worry about that right now. The reason being, I want to animate as little as possible, and then we're going to stretch out the clip later. So let's go ahead and take a look at our animation. Just this foot going up and down. That'll make it good and easy for us later on, but add a little bit of flair to the clip. Select the media, and then go ahead and select this polyline. We're going to cut around and mask everything out. Now you can see that your clip has disappeared. We can go ahead and click these little dots under each node, and that'll bring it up in our viewers. Notice there's still nothing there. That's because we don't have anything masked out yet. One thing we can do is we could disconnect this polygon from our media, and that would show it. And then we could just cut around it. A lot of people do it that way. But I'm going to connect it. I'm going to show you one other way we can do it. This little tool up here called Roto Assist. This will make your clip appear. It also has another function. If we zoom in and we start cutting around our object, let me show you what it does here. If you left click and you hold and you drag, you can see an outline of your object. And this will assist you in cutting out your object. Now there's a downside to this. When you get to a point where you have low contrast between the background and the foreground, it doesn't really appear, and you may have to turn it on and off. But for now, we're just going to cut it around, and I'll just speed through this. Go ahead and connect your two lines, and then when you're finished, you should be able to see your cutout. And you see there's nothing there. That's because I didn't actually finish connecting them. I want to show you one tool. If you accidentally miss this and you can't figure out why your mask isn't coming up, you can just go up to a tool here. It's called Close the Polyline. Click that and voila. Now go ahead and check your design, make sure it looks okay. Go ahead and fix any problem areas, and then we will start keyframing this. So that's looking pretty good. You may notice that there's a couple areas that we missed underneath the arms, and there's an easy fix for that. We'll just add more polylines and cut them out. So go ahead and click the polygon, click on another polygon, just go ahead and cut it out. And then you're going to go down and change it from merge to subtract. So over in the inspector, down to subtract, and you go ahead and do it for the other side as well. Now we have a good cutout. We can check our animation and see how it goes. And now we can see that we need to keyframe it. So go ahead and click on your first polygon, and then you're going to go to your first keyframe and make sure you click that animate. Now go to your last one, click on that. So we have a beginning and an end, and then you're just going to go through and fix any odd spots. And if you have trouble seeing things, go ahead and disconnect. That might help you a little bit. We're going to fix any problem areas, and then we're going to go through it frame by frame and adjust it as we need. Just a side note, try and use as few lines as possible. This really helps when you're trying to keyframe the animation. It's just a lot less to do. If you ever need more room, you can always go up and click on this window here and turn it to a single viewer. I'll give you a little more area to work with. Once you get it to where you want, we're going to start adding effects, just like we did on the edit page. So go ahead and click on your media in one, and then we're going to control space and bring in a transform. Select that, bring that in. We're going to use that to resize everything. Go ahead and center it and resize it just like we did on the edit page. And I'm going to bring in another transform, one for the top and one for the bottom, and these are going to be for our two copies, one on either side. We'll need to attach them, bring them down, and just connect them, and there'll be an automatic merge node added. Go ahead and scoot that merge node over, and we'll connect the other one. We'll make it look a little nicer. So now we're going to click on this merge to, and what we're going to do is hit Control T to switch the foreground and background. So now the lowest copy is going to be the background, and the middle copy is going to be the foreground of that, and it's going to be the background, and the top copy is going to be the foreground on that. So now we've just layered it, just like we did on the edit page. So go ahead and change the parameters. We're going to change the offset, and then we're going to change the size. We'll make it about 3/4 of the way off to the center. Then we'll increase the size to around 1.5, and we're going to do the same thing for our background copy. Just slide it on over and decrease the size. It's all up to you how you want to do it. Now we're going to click on our merge, and we're going to add another transform to it. This is going to change the size for all of them since it's downstream of everything else. Go ahead and increase the size and center it. I'm going to add in this color corrector. Now we could add in the color condenser like we did before. Color corrector has a few more options. This time we're just going to use it the same way as the color compressor, and we're going to desaturate this. Now I'm just going to move this over a little bit so we can add in our scanline effect, since this is going to be on all of them. So just make some room, shift space or control space, bring in the scan lines, and then we're going to do the same thing. Increase frequency, sharpness, move line width down a little, and increase line shift. Now we need to add the blur to our transforms for our top and bottom. Just go ahead and add in a Gaussian blur. Now I could shift space and add it to the bottom too, or I could Control C and Control V, paste one down, and then if I hold shift over this line, I can connect it right there. So that saves me a little bit of time. Now if I go to the beginning, I want to keyframe the size and position. So let's get it set, keyframe it, go to the end, change it. That's our next keyframe, and now let's see how that looks. Let's reposition it just a little bit. We spent all that time making sure we made that animation look good, that we want it in the frame and not out of the frame. Now you might notice it's way too fast, and we're going to fix that right now. So go ahead to the edit page. We want to make this clip longer and slower. We want to make it 1 second, and we want to slow it down. So we're going to right click, go to change clip speed, make it 50%. You can do it frames or just do 50%. Change it, then we're going to right click and go to change duration. It's slower, but it's not long enough. So we just can type in 1 second or just click on the preset. Now it has that kind of animation that we want. And really the only thing left to do at this point is to add in more clips and then just add in the video transitions like we did before. Look at that, you made a meme and you know way more about Davinci Resolve than you ever did before. I hope you picked up a couple of tips and tricks. Hope this was helpful to you. If it was, be sure to hit that like button and let me know if you use this. We'll see you next time.